Hi, this is Alex Helmbrecht, the Sports Information Director at Chadron State College, and I'm sitting here this morning with Chadron State head football coach Bill O'Boyle. Coach O'Boyle is entering his 7th season here at the school as head coach, and actually celebrating his second decade as being a coach here at Chadron State. He's beginning his 20th year overall. But Coach, I won't dwell too much on that. I know that's probably a sore subject, but we'll just we'll talk a little bit about the game coming up. Eagles play the University of Mary for, I believe, the 5th time in your in season openers. Well under you. You guys are 4-0 against Mary, scoring just a shade over 30 points a game. Limiting Mary to just under 10 points a game. Despite the 20-point differential, the games have still been good, and it's always a good test to open the season.
Mary's always a good football team, very good league. Northern Sun has produced a national champion the last 2-3 years. So, again, it's a big challenge for us. Very physical team, always has been, and well coached. So, it's a big challenge for us to open up, and especially going to Mary, playing a night game. You know, that's way different for us.
The University of Mary is picked 9th out of the 14-team Northern Sun Conference, and they're actually in the same division as two-time national champ of the last 3 years, Minnesota Duluth, a team Eagles fans are pretty familiar with. Coach, you mentioned that it's tough to play on the road. You've played there twice in 2006 and 2008, both times coming away with victories. But what's the atmosphere like there in Bismarck, especially with this being the season opening game Thursday night, and it's always a night game is always a little wild.
You know, it's always a great crowd. Mary always does a good job of bringing in people from the community up around Bismarck. It's a big stadium. I don't know how new it is, but it's a great venue to play football in. Coca-Cola sponsors it. It looks like a NASCAR field. There's so many Coke signs around it. So it's a beautiful facility, and humidity is a little bit different up there for us. Big crowd. I know they always have a big cookout and tailgate and everything else up there, and they do things right. So it'll be a great atmosphere for a football game. So we're looking forward to it. I can't stand the night games, but that's what we have to do.
Defensively, looking at the Marauders, they return a guy named Deshaun Benton. He was a second-team Northern Sun selection. People who follow D2 football know that the Northern Sun really has a really strong core of linebackers in that conference defense. Just seems like those Minnesota schools crank out big guys who just love to fly around and make tackles. But with Benton coming back, the Utah State transfer, what do they kind of bring at you on defense? It seems like they have a 30 front.
They really don't change their defense too much scheme-wise. It's been the same since we've played at University of Mary. So really we call it a 50 front. You're going to have a true nose, 2 D tackles, and a stud and a whip. Guards are going to be uncovered for the majority of the time. So not a big pressure team just because of what they do with their linebackers. They're very well coached. They're like bookends. I know both their Sam and their Will, both their inside linebackers are big kids, around 6'1". Both of them around 220, 230. Pretty good size, and both of them run really well. So they haven't changed, Alex, in probably the last 5 years we've played them. So pretty much the same scheme. You might see a different stunt, a blitz, pretty much the same front. On all those North Dakota schools are sold into that 50 front and pretty much do the same things.
Obviously, both programs have a level of familiarity. Has the preparation been different this year, though, due to the fact that Mary got a new offensive coordinator?
You're always worried about that going in your first game. I know Coach Auer and Coach Jerzel and our defensive staff are very concerned. You know, what do you prepare for? You don't have film. So I know they've covered everything that Mary has done in the last couple of years. They've covered what the new coordinator has done at the previous places he's been at. So it's kind of a hodgepodge. So it'll be kind of a hit and miss deal, and I guess we'll know in that first series.
2011 season opener, once again, is Thursday. It'll be September 1st. Kickoff is at 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain. The Eagles, I just looked through the media guide. The Eagles are 56, 36, and 4 all-time in season opening games, Coach, and you are 5-1. How important is a win to at the beginning of the season to set the table for things to come?
Well, you go in, you're really uncertain right now what type of team we have. I think we're ahead of where we were last year at this point. just because of the experience we return. But it's extremely important to win, and set the tempo right off the bat. So we know there's going to be some clicks and some things we need to fix in that first game, but we have to limit our mistakes. A big question is we haven't had an officiating crew yet. So you're always worried about penalties and if we're doing things right and if we're teaching things right, and the turnover deal. That's always a big concern in your first couple games. So, really throughout the whole season. So we're looking forward to it. And, again, we're all nerved up and kind of getting that game face on early. So it's going to be a good game. I know that.
Well, the first week of school is about to end here at Chadron State. Also means that camp is almost drawing to a close. How did the camp go? Did you guys get out of there pretty healthy? And talk a little bit about just kind of how you grew as a team. I know you mentioned that you're ahead of where you were last year. Talk a little bit about that.
We were really limited this year. I think we lost 6 or 7 days off of a normal fall camp because of the NCAA moving us back a week. And we were grandfathered in the year before, so we kept that first game. This year we had to move it back to this game on September 1st. So we were really concerned going into the season and fall camp. I know all this summer preparing, but our kids have done a good job with the limited amount of practices we've had. They came in pretty good shape. You're always going to get a few guys that you wish it would have done more. And we're kind of growing through that right now and making sure those guys are getting in shape. But as far as health, we've been banged up. We had some hamstrings early. Most of those guys are back now. No major injuries. We haven't lost anybody for the season. And that's always a big concern getting through camp. I think this year we've gone a little bit more to half rack, just shoulder pads and helmet. Trying to get our kids' legs back a little bit quicker. I know offensively we've gone a little bit more full pads than the defense just because of what we do as far as playing the legs and things like that, just to be safe. So I think it's been a good camp for us. We have big numbers. I think right now we're at 125, and I'm sure that'll whittle down a little bit. But it's right now I think we're happy where we're at. It's just his first game on a Thursday of how you set your time schedule and getting the kids ready for that first game.
Coach, going back a couple of years, the 2009 season, probably to a lot of those people involved with it, was kind of a disappointment. Last year, the Eagles really did a nice job of rebuilding, had a bunch of young kids play. You started off the season just 3-3, but you closed very strong, winning your last 5 games, including defeating Colorado School of Mines, who was the lone RMAC representative in the playoffs. I'm sure that you've probably sensed it because I've definitely talked to people, and expectations seem to be pretty high this year. How are your kids handling that?
Very well. There hasn't been a mention about anything as far as last year and what the record was or this or that. I think every year's a new year, regardless of who you return or anything else. There's always a different chemistry depending on who your leaders are and your new kids you bring in. This year, I think the atmosphere is great. I just met with our seniors this morning. We have 13 seniors, and we meet every week and sit down and let them kind of air things out because it's their team. And I want to know what those guys are, what they're thinking, and where we're coming from as a staff. And I'm amazed. I think we're a closer team this year than what we've been the last 2 years, just because of our leadership. And it doesn't have to be a senior; it could be some other guys too. So I'm pretty happy with again the chemistry right now, and leading into this first game. I think that's big that these guys are close.
All right, Coach. We'll let you get out of here. I know preparations are going on over in your office, but best of luck to you at the University of Mary. Season opener is Thursday, September 1st at 6 p.m. Mountain. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.